This week's episode of Hastly Keyfabed podcast is brought to you by Ranquill. From the creators of Ranquill, Ranquill will put you out like watching a Randy Orton match. Ranquill, when you want to get put to sleep like an RKO out of nowhere. I should have wrote that down. I actually should have wrote that down.
I actually like Ryquill because basically that's just a knockout match that you didn't want to watch in the first place.
Welcome to Hastly Kayfabe recap for February 23rd, 2017.
No more drinking for you.
Old age catches up to all of us, folks.
Well, I did have a bottle of Fuck It All, our other sponsor, with 1,000 proof alcohol. But anyway.
You're trying really hard to get that to work.
I know. How you fellas
Oh,
doing?
by the way, I know we're on the air, but I still have to mention this because I find it utterly disturbing. McDonald's employee admits to ejaculating in Big Mac secret sauce for 2 years. Have a wonderful night, guys.
You know, things like that. We needed a lighter note considering the news this week.
Yeah.
Lou,
Yeah, my badly put together collage of pictures up here.
So while you're thinking about secret sauce ejaculate, let's get into the news.
Yeah, this is usually the point where I put in the news tab, but the collage of pictures here usually says a lot more than we could. Last week we reported that Nicole Bass was suffering from heart conditions. Sadly, this is a battle she lost. She has died Thursday.
She was what, 52?
yeah.
52 years old, and actually they had decided to take her off of life support.
Yeah, she was considered brain dead at some point, so they took her off of life support.
Oh,
Afterward.
damn.
That's just sad to hear.
Unfortunately, it doesn't get any... Well, go ahead.
She was also the sweetest person, too, if you ever got to meet her in person. So approachable, and it's one of those things that kind of pisses me off because I'm a huge Howard Stern fan, but Howard always treated her like crap.
Howard almost treats everybody like crap, though.
Yeah, but this is like a unique level, even for Howard.
He was with her, it was like, Jesus Christ. Like, her first episode of the show that she was on, after her husband passed, he's like, oh, hey, so how big is your dick now? That was literally the first line he gave to her.
Jeez. Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being such a sweet person. She was so approachable. She loved the kids, willing to sign, sit there, talk to anybody. Just a real nice. A lot of people say the same thing about Mick Foley, about some people are too nice for the wrestling business. Nicole was one of those.
Yeah, there's some people that are just so nice. You just wonder, how could they do something like this for a job now?
Well, the wrestling business is a cutthroat industry, and some people just don't... the best way to say is sometimes some people's just not willing to sharpen their blades. But those are also the people you want to give a hug to.
Yep.
It's a weird way of saying it, but sadly, that's not the only news we have this week. The day after, we also found that George the Animal Steele is no longer with us.
And he passed away in hospice care, or?
Yeah, he passed away in hospice care. On Monday, on Wednesday last week, I think it was, Bob Backlund put up a post on Facebook that he had talked to the animal's wife, and they were like, George just went back to the hospital, and he might not come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just sad to hear.
We're starting to get to the point, and we're going to hammer this point home with the third guy that we'll mention in a bit. Some of the people that end up dying way too early, Nicole Bass's. We can go further back than that. Your Crash Hollies, your Chris Candidos, and Chris Candido was a fucking crying shame because of the way
Chris
he
Candido
died.
was a freak accident.
That broke my fucking heart when Candido died.
A fucking blood clot. And he, in fact, one of the things we're going to talk about today is Barely Legal 97. And this I haven't watched all of it, but I'll have enough to talk about anyway. But there's a bit with Candido in there, and it's amazing the kind of stuff that he did for the business. It wasn't just he wasn't just a quote unquote extreme superstar. He was all around. He was a no gimmicks guy. And
let me tell you something. Chris was from our state. Chris literally lived and did almost everything about 2 towns over. Him and that piece of shit fiance of his.
On and off.
Talking about, yeah. When she went up for her Hall of Fame induction, didn't even fucking bother to mention his name once.
Yeah, that blows.
Sorry, I went off on a tangent there.
It happens.
Don't worry.
No, you're fine.
Unfortunately, the mood continues because as you know, afterwards, then we get hit with a right hook. Unfortunately, Uncle Ivan Karloff,
The Russian
is also the Russian Bear has passed. The only non-Russian out of all, actually one of the many non-Russians out of all the Russians. I think the only one that was close to an actual Russian was actually Nikolai Volkov. Ivan was a French Canadian.
Ivan won. If you guys didn't get to see any of his matches, I hope to God WWE puts up a nice little collection for the network.
Yes,
because Ivan was so good in the fucking ring.
And
he was the football monster heel.
And besides, there's and Ivan's one of the few people that held on to a certain belt, and he only beat some dude named Bruno fucking Sammartino.
Tell you guys something. This is an opportunity WWE should take. There's a guy on YouTube. WWE swears up and down there's no footage of the night that Karloff beat Bruno for the title. Here's something for you guys. One of my recommendations this week. Get on YouTube. Look up Ivan Karloff defeats Bruno Sammartino for the WWF Championship. Someone actually has handheld footage. You could literally hear a pin drop at the fucking 3 count. Of course, there's some stupid mark in the background going on and on and on. Oh my God, Bruno lost! But
well, that might have not been a mark. That just might have been a guy who wasn't smart enough to the business. But
no, well, you know what I mean. Some fucking guy, sitting there instead of this is historic video. Shut up, put it out there. Let WWE get to it. No, he's putting his commentary about, I got to know Captain Lou right before he died and all this shit like that. Yeah. So basically what I'm saying is watch the video on mute.
Watch it on mute.
But that building goes silent when that ref's hand hit the 3.
Pretty much almost as silent as Undertaker Lesnar.
Yeah.
Yeah. And mind you, Karloff was, one of the many transitional champions, because eventually that would go on to what, Pedro Morales afterwards, I want to say?
Beat him for the title, yeah.
But still, Ivan held the belt. And, he was so good in the ring. Most of the people are probably going to be more familiar with Karloff in his NWA run as part of the Russians from what, 80...
Nikita.
Well, eventually, nephew Nikita would be part of this, but and along with Crusher Khrushchev, the only guy that didn't bother speaking in a Russian accent. he was so Russian he didn't bother. He didn't bother.
The big old corn-fed country boy.
Oh yeah. Yes, we have 3 Russians in this group, and none of them are actually Russian. And I forget the 4th guy. They had like a Vladimir some guy.
He was literally around for a cup of coffee.
Yeah, he was in and out real quick. Shall we go on to some better news?
Oh, yes. We do have much better news. At this point, I'll actually bring back up the newspaper. After months of speculation, because WWE has been flooding their YouTube channel with his matches, the person who has the superior version of the RKO, Diamond Dallas Page, is finally getting his due into the Hall of Fame.
So
Finally, after so long.
Just for everything that he's done for Jake Roberts and Scott Hall alone, he deserves that induction.
Yeah.
Along with
that's just alone. Imagine you have to also stack his
along-
wrestling career on top of that.
Paige, let me tell you guys something. Paige didn't start training until he was my age. Till he was 36 years old.
yep.
Paige was originally a manager.
Yeah,
And
he
managed
started
to
late,
stop
kind of like
all.
Batista, and he started late like Batista did. The difference was that Page never really had the physique for it. He had the only thing that he really had was his charisma,
But that's all he needed.
and that's all he needed.
Be fair, one of his mentors is a guy who I constantly go on and on about. The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
Dusty took Page under his wing because he liked him. He saw he was charismatic as hell. You know, Page is a Jersey guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my
Page
computer's
fits
running a little slow.
Jersey guys for it.
And if you want to see how much confidence Dusty had in him, here's a recommendation match of mine, which of course which not only involves DDP, but probably the best Intercontinental Champion out there. Not the greatest, because apparently that still stays with the Honky Tonk Man, or in some cases Don Morocco, depending on who you're talking to. But I'm going to talk about Kurt Hennig. Starrcade 1997, the first U.S. title run of DDP when he first wins that title, and you will hear Dusty Rhodes go absolutely bonkers, throwing the NWO WCW count back to NWO 0 at WCW 1, despite the fact that they had won 2 matches earlier. But who gives a fuck? We don't care. That match was really well done. You had a really good ring technician, and you had the confidence of DDP in there. The build-up for that match was fantastic. Plus, I think it was supposed to be. Go ahead.
But you know what was crazy about that too? I'm probably going to say what you were just going to say right now. If you remember, literally 2 weeks before that was supposed to be a cage match with Hennig and Flair.
Flair, yeah, yeah. And I don't know what happened. And I don't know what happened to get him switched.
That was when Flair had the falling out with the company. So he put in that spot because he had also feuded with Hennig.
Yeah.
So, but
plus it also worked out with the whole, DDP versus the NWO thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it just flowed really well. You looked at you saw the opportunity, he took it, and we would not have a 3-time world heavyweight champion in Diamond Dallas Page if that didn't happen.
Yeah. That was the moment that made him a star.
Yep.
Well, that was the moment that cemented him, I should say. The moment that made him a star was where he was the first guy to drop Hall and Nash.
Yeah, he even mentioned in the video that he was the first person to ever touch the NWO. At that time, no one touched him, and this was before him. We'll probably discuss it when we get to the fall of the NWO. Oh, speaking of the Big Show ideas, before we actually decide which one to do first, Lou, I have to tell you something. I'll probably tell you. I might as well tell you on the air. What I decided to do is, whoever's the current leader of our little poll gets to pick which Big Show idea is next, whether from the list or off the top of their head. Now, since I owe you something that you want to you were in the lead at one point, I'll let you pick the next Big Show idea next. But of course, we still have Barely Legal this week.
Well, I'll say that at the end. I'll say that at the end.
So, you want to do Barely Legal or our
we got one more piece of news first beforehand.
Go ahead then. Oh, right, I forgot.
Because this is actually wrestling related news, sort of. Nintendo, to help promote the Switch, has employed John Cena to help promote the Switch, indeed. Now, I think this makes perfect sense. He's a very big crossover superstar. He's got the appeal on both sides. Even if we're going to get Let's Go Cena sucks chance at, which I think would be appropriate because he's going to be demoing 1-2 Switch.
Yeah.
So I think people will probably have those chants happen anyway. I would, and apparently he will be on the tour, so he'll be at multiple stops that they're showcasing the Switch everywhere. So even you might get your chance to blow up John Cena in 1-2 Switch.
Yeah, it's the only real game they can actually play with people is because it's just a quick game.
Well, yep, I'm pretty sure Lou's going to be playing some serious Street Fighter 2 when that thing comes out.
Gotta get that Pro Controller.
Or that $150 arcade stick.
There's a $150 arcade stick for the Switch.
Hori's making one.
I already have a
doesn't
Hori stick
surprise me.
for the PS4. And
Probably
Yep.
surprise me. It doesn't surprise me one bit that Hori's going to do this because they're going to try to make it as competitive as possible. Why not?
Yep.
Don't be
But
surprised.
this is not a video game. But this is not a video game show. This is a wrestling show.
Yeah, one of these days we'll throw in a video game show. But anyway.
Yes.
If you want if you want anything video game related, go see Will at Yellow Jacket Guy.
That's my stuff, and my stuff will eventually be updated in possibly less than a week. Anyway, do you want to do what happened this week and ignore most of it, or do you just want to go straight into Barely Legal and ignore what happened this week?
Well, no one's talking.
Well, we're still going to do this week in wrestling. Well,
because the notes are rather sparse for this week in pro wrestling.
Well, I was about to say that this show is always an ever-changing beast, like Dracula's castle from Castlevania, going back to the video game references. So we decided to take all wrestling, WWE, and a little bit of other programs and cram it into something called This Week in Pro Wrestling. Next week, I'll probably put the This Week in on top of the Pro Wrestling. If you roll what title screen this is, you get 20 points. Anyway.
Just take the old picture of the old This Week in Wrestling from the NWA episodes in '85.
I probably will next week. I just tossed in the title screen from Sega's Pro Wrestling up here. Cut out the bottom half.
You just gave away the answer.
You just said, hey, you figure it out, you get 20 points, and you give the answer 10 seconds later.
See, no one gets 20 points. I am the master.
Well, at least.
But yeah, we're just trying to find a new way because of all the things we put in for everything that happens on the shows. It's like, it's a bit too much to put in, so we'll just condense it into much better chunks for us to talk about.
Plus, John fell asleep last week.
Well, let's be honest. If you fall asleep during the recaps, there's an issue.
Yeah.
First thing I definitely have to mention, though, since we're doing the whole This Week in Wrestling thing, great promo from Kevin Owens to start Raw.
Oh, yeah.
It was. That was a great promo because
start Raw.
It was I like how the fact they just darkened it, one spotlight, and that's it.
Well, if you look back, remember Eddie Guerrero did a similar promo right before the big feud of Rey Mysterio, right after he just turned on him.
Yeah, really.
And in the same exact style. I mean, hell, Owens literally was practically wearing the same suit as Eddie. The only difference is Eddie's shirt was yellow. And the only reason I mentioned this is because someone posted a link on my timeline.
But there you go. Kevin Owens has officially talked about his separation with Chris Jericho and the fact that, well, he ain't.
No.
Well,
he didn't.
That's right. He didn't talk about that. He mostly talked about how he doesn't sweat Goldberg, how Lesnar slept on Goldberg, and that's the only reason Goldberg won, and that he's not going to sleep on Goldberg coming Fastlane. And they did point out Goldberg's biggest weakness. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. How well Goldberg's matches aren't exactly known for marathons; they're sprints, and much like another marathon fighter, Iron Mike Tyson, the longer you go with him, the better the odds of winning. And that's what Kevin Owens says strategy is going to be: play the long game.
So do you think with that his stock rose in WWE because of the way he was able to talk? Because we know he's been able to talk before.
Oh yeah.
We all know that.
But do you think now that Vince is paying attention?
Yeah, I definitely think so. So because that he simply said that what a lot of fans have been saying is that while he can fight, he tries to end matches quickly. He doesn't do it over time like a lot of the other guys do. Some of them are endurance fighters. Some of them are very much endurance fighters. Others are like, I gotta punch it in order to get it done.
So that's actually going to make this match coming up at Fastlane interesting to see if Kevin Owens can actually force Goldberg to play the long game, and if Goldberg can actually survive it, or, well, will we be getting Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania?
Or will we see Brock Lesnar interfere?
Well, Lesnar actually wants Goldberg to win, according to an interview.
Oh, that's right! At the end of the show that they actually had.
Now, what are you about to say, Lou?
No, I was about to say, well, we can always go into the predictions when it's prediction time for Fastlane, but...
Yeah, but that's Goldberg. Lesnar actually wants Goldberg to win so that he could knock out, so he could reclaim the championship on the way of pretty much wiping out the one blemish on his record.
And we can also put this out there that if they do that, one thing's going to happen. It's going to say that we care more about the old guys than the new guys we're putting in.
It's going to be another episode of Lewis and John freaking ripping apart the IWC.
We'll be seeing that. It'll be the second highest rated episode on the Hastly.
Pretty much.
When we fucking tear into Kikeberg. Oh, John. No,
John's not even here this week. He's probably asleep.
Wouldn't be surprised.
John called him Kikeberg, not me.
Also this week in pro wrestling, Enzo and Cass are the new #1 contenders, The Fiend, Sheamus, and Cesaro.
And by the way, they're the #1 contenders to a team that got squashed by Roman Reigns. And that was a great idea. Get beat by one guy. Great, that helps the company.
That helps the tag team title division, and people wonder why American Alpha is considered more of a legitimate tag team champions.
There was an argument that Brian Zane put up, at least on Twitter, about that. He doesn't think they were buried as much as people think they are. Where was it? Because I guess something happened. I gotta look between pizza on a pineapple.
I mean, it's just the fact, though, that fucking one guy beat the tag team champions. You can try to fucking spin that and put whatever case may be on it, but at the end of the day, one guy beat the tag team champions.
It's not like
no other tag can handle these two, but this one man can.
It's not like they're having him face, like, let's say the Puerto Rican land share owners, or, well, okay, Enzo Cass is the #1 contender, so the Vaudevillains. No, he beat the tag team champions. He beat the supposed absolute best tag team on Raw right now. He single-handedly beat them.
Yeah, and that's really the part I'm like, listen, I know you're trying to make Roman Reigns your Superman, but come on.
Like, even John Cena had to lose to the tag team champions when he was forced in 1 or 2 matches against them. Provided he fought his ass off, but at the end, he usually had to eat their finisher.
Yeah, because at least Cena was taking the chance to go, like, they will beat me down, but I will know that at least I went down going in a fight. And what is this I see here?
Well, apparently this was the response that Brian Zane gave, complaining that Anderson and Gallows got buried tonight. Sorry, nothing could be worse for them than this.
What match was this? Where in Japan was this?
This is apparently Batista beating, looks like La Resistance.
That is the French American flag back there.
And that is the French. That is a French flag. French Canadian. No, it's not the Canadian flag. It might be the Quebecan flag. I don't know.
Wow, he has it planted in the dude's ass.
Yeah,
that's a John Silver special.
Next show, it's like.
Let me see if I can put this picture. while you guys talk, I'll put this picture up on the thing so that everyone can see.
There you go.
Have
See,
fun blowing it up.
so yeah, it's a small picture. I don't know why, but anyway, that's kind of that response there.
Yeah.
Now
I mean,
there was some interesting thing that I saw. Well, you wanted to continue about that? Go ahead.
No, I'm fine.
I'm good.
Like,
I'm
well,
just-
I thought Reed wanted to say something.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, there was something that I have to say was rather odd because I managed to catch. This is the only thing that I watched, and that leads into one of our next points here. Naomi doing a promo for her surrendering of the SmackDown Women's Championship. Finally, she has something to talk about.
Yeah, it's bad news, unfortunately.
And while it was bad news, finally, you let something go like this. It's probably one of the better promos she's given.
Yes, because it was.
I mean, and mind you, it rings true. It rings true because that's exactly where it came from. It came from the heart. It wasn't something that was written on a script or given to her by Bucky Beaver or shit like that. And what made it
from
more
the heart.
What made it more heart-wrenching is the person that she handed that belt to had been there before.
Yeah.
They even mention it. She even mentioned in the promo that Brian knows exactly what she feels.
So
more than enough that he understands how she feels.
So
and really, that's what's sad about the whole thing is that, damn, Naomi just got it. And I was actually going to see high hopes for her, like when it was going into WrestleMania. And the fact this happens, I'm like
she is going to WrestleMania in her hometown.
Her hometown.
Yeah,
this happens.
Yeah,
that would have been so great to see.
But we don't know what we don't know what the injury is.
It's a knee injury.
It's a knee injury. Was it torn? Because she was walking pretty good.
As this moment, nothing has been said. All we know is that it's basically a knee injury. She did have a knee brace on.
Oh, okay.
What they said is she sprained her knee, and she's not going to be able to wrestle for 5 weeks. 5 weeks is the 30 days, and since she's not Brock Lesnar, she had to forfeit.
Everyone's seen that picture.
So she might be back to try to win her title back at WrestleMania.
Which would actually
winning the belt.
Well.
Say again.
That's probably going to be to set up her winning the belt at Mania.
That would actually be the best way to do it. Is have it win it from.
Alexa Bliss, who wanted
probably Alexa Bliss, Bliss, or even Mickie James, Alexa Bliss, or even Mickie James. There are a couple people there that really want Mickie James to win. I think she would be a good transitional champion. Either have Lynch win or Alexa win.
Bliss is now the current champion. She beat Becky Lynch in the one-match playoff.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So
that happened
she's
already.
now two-time women's champion.
I would really like to see. Speaking of Mickie. You have Mickie fuck over Alexa and then have Mickie versus fucking Naomi at Mania.
The old guard versus the new guard.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a thought, tossing that out there.
Yeah. I'd like
I can actually go with that.
I think people saw the flag Batista having the flag and law resistance is ass enough. Let me go back to the pro wrestling.
I really like Mickie. I just really, really, really like Mickie.
But yeah,
just a little bit too much.
I hate Magnus.
Now, here's the thing, though, that if they really do put forth this, that she does come back in time, that if she is in good condition to come back after her that 5 weeks that you're saying, Lou, if that happens and they promote it really well for WrestleMania, I would say that might be one of the better women's matches that might come out. It might even be better than the Raw one if they actually do it that far.
This is Raw. Oh, sorry, this is SmackDown. My bad.
Yeah, if they
though, fucking this girl needs to stop botching.
Well,
she almost fucking killed a SmackDown show. It's like without hurting her, that'd be great.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the problem with part of that vanguard with Paige and AJ Lee and Naomi is that they came from this set, particularly AJ, who idolized Lita, whom Ivory seemed to give the compared her to a certain claymation figure with a clay horse. For those of you who don't know who Gumby is, look that up. Gumby.
Murphy is gonna be Saturday Night Live. Anyway,
but I have no. What'd you say?
I said I'm Gumby, damn it.
I'm Gumby, damn it. So that's kind of the problem that I have, is that the wrestling style that was given at the time was a lot more spot monkey wrestling, and it led to people getting hurt a lot more. Look at Paige. AJ thankfully didn't get injured, and most of her angles that she dealt with were mostly managerial roles. I mean, she had her time in the ring, and she had
she had the relationship with Daniel Bryan, the relationship with John Cena, the partnership with CM Punk, which is now ironically her husband,
relationship.
And
which ironically might have gotten CM Punk away from Lita, but we won't go into that.
And her time as Raw General Manager. Now, she did hold titles. She did have the Divas Championship at 1 point or 2 points or something like that. She had, because she had that promo where she ripped apart the entire cast of Total Divas.
Right.
Are you not surprised?
Well, she wasn't part of that crowd, and it made sense for her. She ran to the beat of a different drum. I just never saw her as a star, and clearly other people didn't either, at least in terms of the booking. So whatever, she held the title, but at the same time, that style of wrestling is going to get people hurt. I mean, I'll always mention Naomi. I'm thinking about those fucking arcade boards, those Dreamcast arcade boards. Naomi doing the moonsault with her knee going into Alexa's head.
The literal Starship Pain.
Yeah. And
literally, that was fucking.
And it sucks because given time. And she really needed the time to do so. If she really wanted to put the time into being more than a funkadactyl, which I think she did. She clearly had had the gumption.
Well, at least more than Carmella. Not Carmella. Whoever her old partner was.
I forget who the other person was.
I was about to say Carmella. Then I'm like, no, that's not it. That's the person.
At least it wasn't Alicia Fox.
Oh God, that's it. We're going to talk about injury waiting to happen soon enough, but never mind, an injury that did happen, unfortunately.
So
when we get to the NXT segment, well, kind of NXT segment, but yeah.
So anyway, why don't we continue? What is an FCA match?
Falls count anywhere.
Oh, okay.
I was just too lazy to type out the word falls count anywhere.
Oh, okay.
But the reason I put the fact that Natalya beat Nikki Bella, usually this match is Lou disconnected. Hopefully he'll be back soon. The reason I put this match in some level of importance is because during the match, Natalya threw Nikki Bella into Maurice, who eventually came out and attacked Nikki Bella with a pipe.
Oh, jeez.
What?
Yep, she attacked Nikki Bella with a pipe, which allowed
what pipe?
A lead pipe. while Nikki Bella had Natalya in her I guess a second-rate STF. I don't know the name of Nikki Bella's finisher.
Oh, that thing. Yeah.
Nikki Bella had Natalya her STF semi-hold.
The Fearless Lock is what they call it. The Fearless Lock.
Maurice ran in, blasted Nikki with a pipe a few times. Natalya covered to knock out Maurice. Now, later on, we had the Battle Royal, of which during it, Miz eliminated John Cena. Cena got pissed and pulled down the Miz. So the question I ask is this the build-up for the WrestleMania match?
The question I ask is, who the hell cares?
Also, hi, Lou, and a little owl for my ears.
Yeah, really. I'm wearing headphones, dude.
Same here.
No, I literally got booted from the call. I just got back in. That's probably
we noticed.
Yeah, we noticed.
Yeah, we know. We noticed. You know,
So yeah,
this
anyway, guess we
that's an odd one. Did Cena pull out Miz the same way Hogan pulled out Sid Justice
pretty much.
from the floor?
Yeah.
From the floor?
Pretty
Oh
much.
jeez.
Oh, jeez. Oh, man. I bet they were like, ow, dude, that hurt a little bit.
So yeah,
Like, after the
but
match.
Years later, 6 years later, we get to relive the worst main event in WrestleMania.
Featuring
Combined-
their girlfriends.
Featuring their girlfriends, yeah. Featuring their significant others.
Yeah, significant others. Cause like,
Last
Cena,
time,
could you imagine Cena actually?
Well, we had Alex Riley last time to help soften the blow.
Oh, Alex Riley. Oh, man. That's.
last time, here's Maurice.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anyway, we touched on the Battle Royal. So the Battle Royal to determine the number one contender for Bray Wyatt's WWE Championship, and it ends in a two-way draw between AJ Styles and Luke Harper, eliminating each other at the same time, supposedly.
Oh,
Yeah, so-
okay. So
okay,
they pulled a Bret Hart Lex Luger here. Okay.
Yeah, so it's decided that next week, Harper versus Styles, number one contendership, will face Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania.
Yeah, because I mean, if they. At least it's not like the whole thing with Batista and John Cena falling out at the same time on accident at the Royal Rumble.
And Vince
Yeah.
McMahon damn near breaking his legs trying to restart the match.
Oh, that would just be great if, like,
Well, he didn't break his.
that.
To be fair, he did not break his legs. He
No,
tore his
well,
quads.
Yes, both of them. Now, here's the funny part.
No, I just said he just blew both his quads. He
Oh.
didn't break-
Yeah.
But yeah, seriously, if that actually did happen, like, every funny if Daniel Bryan came out and that something like that happened to him also, I'm like, oh, come on!
The McMahon tradition continues.
Oh, that would be great. But yeah, we're having, and I've seen a lot of people talk about who were at the event and people who were, like, watched the footage. They did not fall at the same time.
Yeah, that's why I used the word supposedly.
Yeah, we know. Kayfabe.
Yes, it's kayfabe, but the person who technically did get knocked out first was AJ. But for storyline's sake, it is both of them. So now the question is going to have to be, well, who we're going to see. And I almost feel like we have to make a slight prediction on that, just because that way we could say, who do you want to see fight Luke? Who do you want to see fight?
Well, storyline.
Wrestle, you're going to have a three-way.
Yeah, or maybe even a four-way. Throw back in Randy Orton.
How would you
would
be okay with that?
I think it's literally going to be Harper's going to win, and Randy's going to come and Bray and say, "Look, if I use this, I can protect you." Setting up the big
so the triple threat for the Wyatt family, and Luke Harper's first world title attempt. So nice to see them grooming him.
He fought Cena for the title.
Well, right, I forgot. But that's the fun thing about SmackDown. You see guys getting groomed for world championship runs. You have Harper, we have freaking Baron Corbin.
And Baron Corbin's looking good for what he's doing.
And on SmackDown, you also have guys who go AWOL. Like Jack.
Like who?
Exactly. Like Jack Swagger.
Jack Swagger. Oh, geez.
Wait, I thought Jack Swagger was on Raw.
No, Jack Swagger's been on SmackDown.
Oh, man. Shows how long I've been caring about Jack Swagger.
So they did this big storyline. Oh, Swagger's leaving Raw. He's going to SmackDown. Yeah, and he went to SmackDown and jobbed to like Baron Corbin twice. Yeah,
We see more of freaking Jack Swagger on Up, Down, Down recently than we have on actual SmackDown.
Yeah, but relegated to house shows.
And these days, Up, Down, Down
counts as a fifth or sixth show, then it does.
Yeah,
even
I
WWE
can
promotes it.
honestly say I think freaking Ellsworth has more wins than Swagger in the past 2 years.
probably.
Ellsworth,
Yeah.
and Ellsworth has more pro.
Ellsworth has pinfalls against a world champion.
Yeah, he has more high profile wins too.
Yeah, especially and he survived against the monster Braun Strowman.
No,
on
he
his first-
eliminated the monster Braun Strowman
eliminated
in the
Braun
freaking
Strowman.
Survivor Series match.
Oh yes, there was that, and the fact he did get murdered twice by Braun Strowman. Oh,
And
can we just also
What about
mention
say, Lou?
the fact-
No, and in Ellsworth's debut in the Garden, he pinned Kurt Hawkins.
There you
There
go.
you go.
Man, I don't know. Now, here's the funny part. We gotta think about this. Ellsworth showed up to fight against Braun Strowman as a jobber, and he gets killed.
It gets a job. Ironically,
Yeah.
four people show up to fight Braun Strowman, and they get murdered.
And then, of course, do all these other things. And then at the Royal Rumble, he attempts to, try so hard against Braun Strowman, and then just
Failed.
he just 15 seconds, bam, get
Yeah.
out of here.
Yeah, but I'm also glad that he didn't
He didn't get hurt. That
he didn't
choked-
get hurt, because it looked like he got hurt bad.
Yeah, like that toss that he got. Ooh, that looked like it hurt real hard.
And there's one thing that we forgot to mention, by the way,
What?
that I mentioned right here, so we can go ahead and close out this segment practically. That Big Show Braun Strowman match on Raw. 6 stars.
No,
Better
7
than-
stars. 7 stars.
No, 10 stars.
I don't go that
Yeah.
far yet.
God, there you go. 5 stars for each guy.
There you go. Sorry, Jim Cornette. We're stealing your idea that Dave Meltzer stole from everyone else.
And
That,
mul-
that
and
everyone
multiplying
stole from
it.
you.
There you go.
But yeah,
When one person
I
just
was-
plagiarism, you steal from a bunch. It's research.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So now it's
I had to
research.
I had to do college papers when I had to do research. Anyway, freaking chain wrestling big men. I had a friend that was talking to me, and I got home from work early, and I was lucky enough to watch this match. I was dumbstruck watching the match, not because I thought it was going to be a shit show, and it turned out to be, well, good.
Yeah,
Match.
these were two big men that actually knew how to fight.
Well, they knew how to wrestle.
Yeah.
They were fucking chain wrestling. Braun did a kip up.
Bronte kept up a drop kick. Freaking, and
That
then go ahead.
Up there with Matt Bloom's Hurricanrana when he wrestled Kane. Do you remember that?
I remember the Caterana. And everybody went silent. Anyway.
Well, I don't remember that match anywho, but
Even Buddy,
Still.
yeah, we mentioned that. Right, Buddy?
I guess he's talking to the cat.
One little.
I never saw the match, so I can't say much.
One quick note. Go ahead.
YouTube. Literally put the whole match. WWE literally put the whole match up on YouTube.
Oh, the whole match. You mean it's longer than 3 minutes?
Yeah, every once in a while they'll actually put up the whole match. Every once
Yeah,
in
they
a
do
while.
that.
10 minutes? Something like that?
Yeah, they do put up full matches from older shows.
No, because the match was about like 10 minutes. I think either WWE, I'm sure someone put it up on YouTube.
Yeah, someone did put it up on you. I see it.
I watched it like that at work because I was at work. And one of my friends texted me and they're like, "Bro, when you get home, watch Braun and Big Show from Raw." I was like, "Oh, okay." At first, I was like, "Why the fuck are you telling me to watch a snooze fest like that?" He's like, "No, watch it.
And it was
Bam.
good.
Better
I
than
did-
Okada Omega."
And they did like this, that they did as a little promo thing, like a little pre thing, to say that we had to reinforce the arena. Like, we had
Yeah,
to
they even
reinforce
showed the
room.
guys like reinforcing the ring.
And with like steel plates on the side. It's all for decoration, but they did actually at least show that, hey, we're at least putting forth to know these are two big men that are going to
No,
ring.
they're putting forth they learned from Big Show versus Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, twice.
Considering the fact that Big Show lost 100 pounds, it's a nice way to stick it to the big man. Like, no, fatty, we still got to reinforce the ring.
But still, it was a good match. I mean, this is kind of like how I want to see big men fight. I don't want
If
to
you like
see
watching
like a
big-
snooze fest.
Around with each other. If you enjoy watching big men roll around with each other, sure, you should keep that to yourself. Shouldn't put that in a public forum.
or go with Tumblr. You'll probably find just about anything in the over there.
Yeah,
That
totally,
place
probably.
is weird.
Oh.
sorry to the people who watch our episodes on Tumblr. I'll probably update the list tonight because I haven't put up an episode over on our Tumblr forums in like a month.
I was about to say, if you want to see men roll around with each other, you can check out Twin Family on YouTube.
Oh,
All right, John. Anyway, one last quick hit, and this is for This is something that happened possibly on next week's version of NXT. The fuck was that? Hello?
Hello?
I didn't hear anything. You heard something that we didn't. I thought you were saying the fuck was that over an apparent injury that you talked to me about earlier.
Yeah, I heard some piano just come out of nowhere. I'm going insane. But
I got
yeah,
nothing.
Speaking of that apparent injury, we always joked about how Ember Moon's going to injure someone with that stunner one of these days. Well, that day came. That day possibly came this week when Billie Kay took it and suffered an injury on what will be next week's NXT taping.
Oh gosh, what's the prognosis?
Well,
she got a stinger.
Oh jeez.
A stinger. Yeah, it wasn't a quick drop. She got a stinger.
Wow. So compressed neck and everything.
Yeah, it's fucking. I'm like, the girl should not be doing. Give her a new finish.
Like they had to give Seth Rollins a new finish. He hasn't injured anyone with the curb stomp. This injury looks like that move legitimately looks like it's going to injure someone. And guess what?
Yeah, by the Eclipse.
This is the third bullet that they fucking dodged. Because hopefully it's not a serious injury. Stingers are no fun.
Here's what it says here. She ended up leaving on her own, but was holding her neck and crying.
Yeah, stingers are no fun. You want to know what a stinger is? It's when your neck gets whipped back and you lose feeling in your arms. It's not fun. Take it from someone who's had it happen a couple of times. It scares the shit out of you.
Because you don't know if you're going to feel your arms again or any motion in your lower extremities.
Yep.
When you're stuck there and people are telling you your arms are moving and you can't tell, it scares the shit out of you.
Oh, apparently this also happened on this week's episode.
Well, that's this week's. We're talking about next week's, but we had Cash's own. We also had Cash's own. Whatchamacallit? And if it's Superstar, oh god.
Here's the link to it.
Superstar loses the losers leaves Raw. Fans say goodbye to Samson after the match while Ono destroyed his guitar. Yeah, that's the end of Elias Samson.
Yeah.
So there's going to be two things meaning. He's either leaving the company or moving up. Why would he move up?
Probably leaving the company.
Probably leaving the company.
Boy, I want to see Elias Samson on Raw. Who the hell said that?
Yeah, to see him get murderized by Braun Strowman, that's nice.
Well, we found Bucky Beaver's new toy then. Elias Samson, folks. Anyway.
Ding! Yeah, that also airs on the same week of which the Billie Kay injury happened.
Yeah, now
horrible too. I feel bad.
Yeah,
we made fun of her being an Oscar victim, but she's not as bad. And we obviously don't want anyone injured here. That's a fact.
No. Even I, who did not like her as a wrestler. I don't like her as a wrestler. I don't think she's very good. I think she needs improvement. I mean, she's not Liv Morgan bad, but she doesn't impress me as a wrestler, but I would not wish her any ill injury like this.
Yeah, no.
Especially with the neck. It's like, Jesus Christ, get this girl a new finisher already.
Before you stick her in the ring with Asuka, because Asuka is pretty much going to be a major part of the women's division future if she's not taken out on a stretcher in her last match.
Yeah, here's the problem, though. It's also showing up that because Billie Kay is going to be out, we have an issue of the fact that we need the women to show up in this, and we're getting trimmed down right now because I'm not liking how this is looking for the NXT Women's Division because we need more to show up and actually try.
There's 4 of them.
You have Asuka, Liv Morgan, Nikki Cross, and Billie and that.
You have Peyton Royce, you have Asuka, you have Liv Morgan, you have You have Ember Moon and maybe
Nikki Cross.
occasionally Aaliyah and Nikki Cross. So you have a maximum of 6 people, one of which is definitely not prepared, one of which who isn't completely prepared and she's been pushed. One of which is probably the best prepared out of all, was the calmest out of all of them, but she just lost her tag team partner. One who's probably the most prepared to take on Asuka at most, but they probably won't push her because she's stuck in a stable. And the only one left, she's not going to be able to leave anyway because they're not ready for her to speak yet.
Yeah, and
I'm about to say, we might have to do what I think Lou suggested that they might have to have Asuka challenge either Charlotte or either Alexa Bliss or Naomi, whatever show she winds up on, while she's the NXT Women's Champion. And then she just has to forfeit her belt from there because other than Cross, no one looks viable to take down the
Empress of Tomorrow.
The Empress of Tomorrow, yeah.
So we'll see. We'll just have to see. I mean,
I kind of want to do what. Yeah, it does suck. But the thing is, if they do Asuka come up, I wonder to kind of do what they did with Kevin Owens and John Cena. If you know what I'm talking about, that would actually just make
exactly. We do the same thing, and that's what we're suggesting. And I would suggest you do it with Charlotte because Charlotte is the one that needs to be taken out on a pay-per-view. And I think that she's the only one that would be able to do that.
She has yet to lose a pay-per-view yet, though we don't know she holds that streak on Fastlane. And as freaking Big E joked on Raw, she's also on her way of tying her father being the 17-time world champion.
Champion, yes.
Yeah, 17 championships in 1 year. How do you make that work?
Well, Big E actually said 1 month, but we'll go on to that another time.
Yeah. So I guess since that's the end. Oh, and apparently someone became champions of Mexico. We don't care. Anyway,
the Hardys win their match. Anyway, we'll talk about more of them next week. But we do have a pay-per-view, a classic to talk about. The very first ECW pay-per-view, Barely Legal 97. And I wish John was here because he's usually the historian at this point. So I gotta remember all the historical facts.
Let's go to the Wikipedia article and fucking read it.
Say again?
All John does is read the fucking Wikipedia article. Let's talk to someone like me who's been to shows at the original ECW arena and all that shit.
Well, we go.
Was not supposed to be the first ECW pay-per-view. There was a pay-per-view that was supposed to happen 6 months before this, but that stupid bitch Christine Whitman got it blocked from happening. To the point
just to give you an idea of our former governor, Christine Whitman, when the Yankees in their prime wanted to move to New Jersey and bring all the money with them, the nitwit said no.
There's a reason why she's called Governor Nitwitman.
New York fucking Yankees. I don't like the Yankees. Why would you turn down that much money?
That's
they've won about 5 or 6 World Series since then. Can you imagine the money that could have brought this state?
This was at their pinnacle. This is just before they were going on that World Series streak.
Just before they got Joe Torre. Just before they got Joe Torre as their head coach.
Yeah.
Who are baseball fans. Just before they got Joe Torre as their head coach.
I'm trying to. Okay, before we even continue on with this whole thing,
we get fucked. I'm just trying to imagine the ass by governors in the state. But go ahead, Reed.
I'm just trying to imagine the Yankees in Jersey. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to think about that whole thing. It's just.
Well, New York was fucking them over, if I remember the story correctly. So they said, "Fuck you, we'll move to Jersey." And for some reason, our governor at the time didn't like money.
It was because they didn't want to build the ballpark. That was.
I believe you know how much money you have got back 20-fold.
No, I know, but I'm just saying.
If the Yankees never won a series, how diehard the Yankee fan base is.
Yeah, it's not just in the state. It's not just in the city or the state. It's all over.
Yankees. You have idiots all over that like the Yankees.
I don't like the Yankees. I'm from Los Angeles. I'm a Dodger fan.
I'm just saying,
And
you
yet
have
you live in
idiots
Utah.
that are fucking
No,
Yankee fans.
I'm originally from Los Angeles.
I
moved-
know, I know, I know.
He escaped California. You actually
Yeah,
went
I
there.
escaped California. Trust me, that was a smart move on my part. But yes,
Wasn't.
it's. I'm just still trying to imagine that calling themselves the new. Will they still call themselves the New York Yankees? Because you almost feel like it's kind of the similar.
Probably.
Because I'm just trying to remember. It's also the
But yeah,
same situation.
they'll probably call themselves the New York Yankees still, but it'll probably been a similar deal that the Jets and Giants have. That large chunk
Yeah.
of money still has to go to New Jersey since they're the ones flipping the bill.
Yes, that's what I was just about to say right there. Anyway, I think we've gone far enough. Shall we get started on this stupid thing?
Yes.
But yeah, basically the original pay-per-view was supposed to be here in Jersey. And that dumb bitch started sending videos to the cable companies. Look at the barbaric things that they do and all this shit like that. We can't let this be on pay-per-view. And the pay-per-view got knocked back for a couple months.
You
And
also
they
have
are
to
calling it barely legal, which is
Well,
quite
you also-
appropriate.
Well, it wasn't just Nitwit when they had a war of the cable companies for a while to try to get this on pay-per-view.
The company that is now known as In-Demand Pay-Per-View, Viewer's Choice, flat out denied them. They said the only way we're going to show this pay-per-view is after midnight. The violence is almost pornographic.
Oh, jeez.
Honestly, what
Wow!
how deep it goes. When you guys get a chance, look it up. It's insane the shit that Heyman went through to get this show off the ground.
Wow, it just reminded me of a thing I remember reading about a while back called violent pornograph, and I'm like, that's an interesting statement, and it was actually a story that was actually done over, and I'm like, oh
Yeah.
man, I'm just now you put it like that, I'm just going, wow, that's.
Now, there is one
that's
bright
so-
side to this story, and this is one of the first times that Vince McMahon has done a deal with an actual deal with another wrestling company, because in order to help ECW launch the pay-per-view, Vince had ECW superstars invade Raw. Now, Van Dam was already going back and forth, but now you had the likes of Taz and Sabu and the others jumping onto Raw for one night.
And they were in the Manhattan Center that night, and that was when Sabu took the dive off the Raw sign onto Team Taz, which featured also other ECW alumni like Chris Chetty, Danny Doring, and Amish Roadkill. For those of you who didn't know, those were members of Team Taz.
Now I know. I actually did.
Had a little posse. Yeah. But before we go deeper into the show, there's one thing that we have to talk about. I don't know now. Did you follow ECW out there, Will?
That was the thing, and that's something that we'll have to have a story for another day. Is that ECW for me came on public access on a channel that almost nobody used. Same there. And I saw it once, and Joey Styles, when I first saw him, looked like a spaz trying to say stuff when I first saw it. So I never really saw the matches. That was my first exposure to ECW. It's just like, what the fuck is this? Now, of course, there's a lot of stuff that went into ECW that I didn't know about. Plus, at the time, it was what, 98, maybe 99 at the time when I saw it.
The golden era stuff, yeah.
But it was before the deal with TNN, but it was definitely after Barely Legal. But there was something with ECW Hardcore TV that didn't jive with me at the time. Now, most of ECW, I think all of ECW Hardcore TV is now on the network, so you can now watch it with its completely edited music, which we'll get into.
Oh, yeah, we'll get into that in a couple of minutes. Don't worry.
Because if you guys who didn't get to watch it leading into Barely Legal, if you ever want to start a promotion, you're ever interested in booking, I say this a lot, and I'm not the only person who says it. Quite a few people share the same opinion. You want to see how to book a main event, how to book a feud. Sabu versus Taz going into Barely Legal.
Oh yeah,
That's true. That's true. That is.
Sabu versus Taz going into Barely Legal. Dude, they did not touch each other for 1 year. That feud.
The only other build I could think of that was that much of a slow burn was Sting versus Hogan, but Taz versus Sabu, you almost felt the hate between the two. Well, kayfabe wise.
Because here's the thing. This was the whole point of how this happened. There was a night with ECW. Something happened with Sabu in Japan. I'm not going to sit here and act like an expert on it and read it off of Wikipedia, but Sabu
sorry, John.
Ding.
Sabu no-showed an ECW show to work a date in Japan instead. Taz, in real life, got pissed. So much so that Taz looked at Paul Heyman on camera and told him, "I will never work with that motherfucker ever." On camera, he said this on TV. "I promise you, if you ever fucking bring him back here, I will whip his ass. I will never work with that motherfucker again." Paul Heyman, being Paul Heyman, forgave Sabu, brought him back. Taz came down to the ring. You bought this unprofessional piece of shit back here. All this shit. They kept them apart. They kept doing it where Sabu would do his thing, Taz would do his. The build up to this is so intense. You guys, anyone who's a fan of Sabu's, Ty, you can attest.
Yeah.
Sabu never cut promos. Sabu never talked. Either Heyman or his tag partner or whatever the case would do the talking for Sabu.
Which in this case was Van Dam.
Mm-hmm. Would do all of Sabu's talking for him. There's one point where Taz is like, "You know something? You brought him back. I told you not to bring him back. I tried to stay away and let bygones be bygones, but this guy disrespected me when he walked away the way he did." Because I believe that Taz and Sabu were tag champs at the time that Sabu pulled that no-show. I'm not 100% sure.
I know they were tag partners at the time.
They were tag champions at one point. They were tag champions at one point. They mentioned that in the match, or he mentioned it in the match.
Yeah, but practically, fucking, he's like, I try to stay away from him. You keep disrespecting me. You're giving highlight packages to a guy who walked away, who left us sitting in the dark. This is fucking ridiculous. Sabu took the house mic and said, "You want to fight me, motherfucker? Let's go."
That's how personal it became.
Yep. He spoke perfectly clear English for a guy from Bombay, Michigan.
Oh boy.
That show, that if you ever sit there, please go back and watch the hardcore TVs on the network leading up to this match.
And here's a sad thing. I have the DVD.
Before you go further, let me finish this for 1 second.
Okay.
I normally, ever since it came out that guy was a fucking pedo, fuck Rob Feinstein. But if you can get on a torrent site and find it, he did a collection a couple years back. There was this Taz Sabu, the entire feud. It's a 2-disc set. It's worth trying to get your hands on it.
All right, now here's the sad thing. While I was looking for something to put up for the Barely Legal, I saw this poster of someone put up a picture of a poster of Taz and Sabu. It was signed. I was trying to download it on my computer, and it would not go. I had to go to Wikipedia and grab their picture of the copy of the DVD poster instead. But I want that poster because that's one of the matches you came. You wanted to finally see these two tear each other apart.
No one gave a shit about the world title match.
Nope.
Which is sad because that actually has a pretty solid story along itself as well. It's
That
not
had
like
that had 3 stories going on at once.
Yeah.
This whole selling point of that pay-per-view was Sabu versus Taz.
Yep.
And by the way, that poster that you saw is hand drawn by Taz.
Damn.
Yeah, that drawing of Taz and Sabu standing face to face.
Yeah.
Taz actually, a lot of the merchandise from ECW at the time, Taz actually did it by hand.
Now I wish I had that poster downloaded. Damn it. Well, download properly so I can use as this.
Fuck, I've been looking for a copy of that actual poster since 1997.
Well, someone posted a picture of it on freaking somewhere. It's up on Google Images now.
Yeah, I've been wanting that actual poster since 1997 to get it signed by both guys. That match was not for a belt. It was plain and simple. Oh my God. When these two finally get in the ring, they're going to kill each other.
Now, I'm going to pull a John Reed one part of the Wikipedia statement. One of the things that helped push back Barely Legal was the mass transit incident. For the three people that don't know, mass transit was they had a match with New Jack and the Gangsters, New Jack and Mustafa, versus damn it, Wonder Rottens and go ahead, Lou.
It was supposed to be God Rest His Soul, Axel Rotten, and Devon Dudley. I didn't want to go into this because I didn't want to give that fat slob mass transit any.
We'll like lightning through this, but we had 16-year-old kid who thought he was big shit. He said, "Yeah, I'm a."
Oh, this was the okay, yeah, it was that okay, yeah, okay.
He was an 18-year-old kid. There was a kid that thought he was big shit. He walked up to Paul Heyman, said I was a wrestler. Heyman hit the panic button, forgot to check credentials, put him in the ring, and well, if you ever seen a New Jack match,
he went and told New Jack, "Hey, you can go ahead and gig me. I don't know what to do."
It took his mother jumping up and saying, "Stop, he's only a child." They tried to sue, keywords tried, because, well, the kid did admit he was an 18-year-old, and while Heyman should have done his due diligence, the kid pretty much stuck his own head on the guillotine. It's not the Axeman's fault the blade fell.
Yeah, pretty much. By the way, he's dead. I hate to say it like that, but
yeah he died of something else, but yeah.
Wait, botched gastric bypass.
Wait, the kid?
Yeah, the kid died of a bypass.
Oh.
A botched gastric bypass is what fucking killed him.
But yeah, let's actually get into the pay-per-view itself, because the backstory alone could take an entire episode. So we start off with, I had this list, anyway, we start off with the Dudley Boys being the Dudley Boys and ripping the audience apart.
As they should, although this is after watching it now, and like I only got up halfway through to the Taz Sabu match, so that's just pretty much most of the match most of the pay-per-view from what I understand.
Yeah.
This is before they really started getting good with promos. They knew how to piss people off, but they needed a little more work on the promos here. But at the same time, that's what their job is to do. I didn't think Sign Guy Dudley would clean up so well.
Well, that's what happens when his brothers are the current tag team champions. Yeah, this was Joe Gertner before the neck brace.
Yes, this is
Joe Gertner.
Was this the thing that caused the neck brace?
Probably, but we'll get into that.
Could have. And I like the fact that I was watching the match because my first time watching it. And I will say this about ECW: when you know what your fans are thinking, they are vocal about it.
Pretty much.
I think we were saying
energy of that show is insane.
Yeah. Even though there was only like 11, like close to 1,200 people, you got to definitely see how everyone reacted. It's just wow.
Like the closest remote thing you could take from the ECW arena, there's nothing like it. Lou could probably tell you a lot more than I could.
Amen, brother. Fucking men. That place is fucking holy ground to me.
Like the closest you get as far as crowd reaction And this is not even a close. This is not even. This is literally comparing a Ferrari to a freaking. What's the best way to say it? A Toyota Civic. It's the NXT arena.
You mean a Corolla? But
Thank
okay.
you. A Corolla. It's the NXT
You mean
arena nowadays.
You
That is
mean a Honda Civic? But that's
Yeah.
okay. Whatever.
But yeah, that is the closest you're getting to how loud and raucous the ECW arena was.
It was beautiful. That place stunk to high hell. It was hot as hell.
I'm not surprised.
The bath-
Also, the fact before
the
the end of the match
bathroom-
started.
The bathroom was a bathroom in name only.
I remember that arena was not built for the power it took to run a pay-per-view at the time.
Here's another one,
They
guys.
barely
Another
made
one.
it.
2 seconds after the pay-per-view went off the air, they blew every fuse in the building.
They literally barely made it. That could have been another name for this pay-per-view.
What would you call it? We just finished.
But yeah, on back to the match. The Dudleys faced off against the Eliminators, John Crows and Perry Sailor. Ironically, their finisher, the Total Elimination, was featured on one of WWE's YouTube videos as 10 of the best tag team finishers of all time. The Eliminators defeat the Dudleys and take home the ECW Tag Team Championship.
Yeah.
I believe the first title reign for the Eliminators here, the first or second, I'm not sure.
I'm trying to think. I think it was the first.
This is the second time, I
second.
think,
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
they mentioned that they were former tag team champions before.
Now That's
The
unless anyone has anything else to toss in about the Dudleys and the Eliminators, other than what a great match it was.
But it was a great, it was a great match. Some people don't really understand. Half the time, ECW tag matches are tornado tag matches anyway. You rarely see actual tagging.
Yeah.
Here's another thing with ECW too that you guys got to realize: ECW never announced their cards. You literally only knew the main events, and that's it.
And that's probably what we.
Well, that depends. If you have enough buzz, then that could work. Because WCW tried something like that. Well, probably not intentionally on one of their pay-per-views, and no one showed up.
Well,
I think I remember one ad that said that I'm like, this is so big, they don't even want to tell us what's on the card, so you have to order it. But WCW had other problems with that as well. So
that was the famous NWO Sold Out.
Oh yeah.
What a show that was. You know what? To punish you guys, that's going to be the show I choose for us to review.
Oh god damn it! Okay.
Wait, what? Which one?
NWO Sold Out
97. Oh, that shit was
let
bad.
me put that on the list for next. I guess the next couple of weeks, since it'll be next month. While you guys talk about Van Dam versus Lance Storm, an actual classic wrestling match.
Well, sort of.
Yeah, we watched that show.
Ty, just as a thing, can we actually put like the dates of when we actually do the talking of it? Just let us know when we actually discuss these.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah, it'll be the next one, but we'll have to just figure out what dates. Probably the next couple of weeks, since we still have 2 weeks before Fastlane.
Yeah, because like next week is our prediction show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
right. The 5th.
Yeah. All right.
So anyway,
NWO Sold Out 97.
Now, apparently, this match was supposed to be Lance Storm versus Chris Candido.
Mm-hmm.
And Candido did something to himself. I mean, something involving his arm. He arrived in a sling. And it was clear to me he was very pissed that he couldn't be a part of the thing. But he decided, in his infinite wisdom, to say that not only was he better than the second match, he was better. He should have been in the main event. Because where was he beforehand? Well, he was with Tom Pritchard, and he was holding tag belts, and he was also, he was doing pretty good for himself. So he decided to come back after being in Eastern Championship Wrestling, and he was stuck there. So he decided to quote unquote take it out on the audience. So as a last minute substitution, quote unquote, Rob Van Dam takes the place of Lance Storm. Now, I don't know what other people have to say about it. I thought it was a pretty good match. It wasn't a classic match.
Him and Storm always had good matches together. They tore the freaking house down. I think this was one of Storm's, like, one of his first matches with ECW.
Yeah.
Like, one of his big first high profile matches with.
Yeah.
But that match was freaking amazing. And what really made that match too, it was literally 10 minutes of back and forth, non-stop freaking action.
And also
I think Van Dam hit like the standing moonsault for the finish.
Yeah, the finish was a Van Daminator into a standing moonsault. Yes.
Yeah.
And what made that even great was the promo that Van Dam cut after.
Yeah, that was actually a good promo.
Been on the show from the get-go, and said I have to be a replacement. But you know something? That's fine because this gets me more money here, and it can get me more money elsewhere.
Referring to as, like I said before, his back and forth time with WWF at the time. So yeah, Van Dam played up pretty much a solid heel. Lance Storm pretty much got a first major chance to show himself on national TV. Sorry, international pay-per-view. Sorry. But it won't be the last time we see a Van Dam or freaking Chris Candido, but we'll get to that later. So we had a match from Japan.
The Michinoku Pro guys.
That was an interesting match.
The great Sasuke, Grand Hamada, and Misato. I suck at pronouncing Japanese.
You'll have to give it all right, that you got it pulled up on the wikis.
Yeah.
Give me a minute.
Yakushiji, I think is how you pronounce it. Masato Yakushiji.
Ow, hijack.
Anyway, they faced off against the BWO Japan branch of Taka Michinoku, Terry Boy, and Dick Togo.
Yep, that's
Say again, Lou?
No, I said it was the future Kaientai.
Yeah.
Although I don't think Terry Boy was involved in there. It was.
Yeah, I think they replaced him with Funaki.
Funaki, yeah. So Sasuke, Grand Hamada, and Masato Yakushiji is would be correct. And that was actually, first of all, this was an actual tag match.
Yeah, this is a rarity in ECW. Match where actually involved tag
sort of because there was almost a complete lack of tags in this match. Occasionally people would get thrown out and the next person would just sort of come in and.
Yeah, we're talking about a federation of which a 1-on-1 match could turn into a 5-on-5 elimination match in just a couple of hours. It's just a couple of minutes. Yeah,
but I think some people noticed the Power Ranger chants.
Yeah.
Because the guy originally was supposed to be somebody else, but Yakushiji ended up replacing someone, and he came out in this really odd green and white outfit.
Grand Niwawa.
And he was wearing this green and whatever green and white. Jeez.
But it was a great match, though.
It was a good match. Don't get me wrong. This is probably the sleeper hit of the series. Other than, then we go on, Taz versus Sabu and the world championships.
This is the match that kept you into the thing, because after this we get to pretty much essentially the quadruple main event, because these are the 4 matches people really want to see.
Heat.
Well, I didn't mean to say that the Michinoku Pro match was bad or that people didn't want to see it, but these were like the matches, people are looking like, oh, I can't wait to see this guy get his hands on this guy for what he's done.
That was the thing with ECW, though. You had a little bit of everything. You had your lucha, you had your hardcore, you had your technicians, and this show gave you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, everybody came to see Bill off Taz versus Sabu. There were some that wanted to see who's going to get their hands on Raven. But you also had the Michinoku Pro guys. You have guys like Van Dam versus Lance Storm having a technical match. You have moments like the Eliminators bringing down the Dastardly Dudleys. It was a little bit of everything. I think Reed fell asleep on us.
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
He's here. He's here. Well, we get the win. Was it Sasuke getting the pin?
Yeah, I believe so.
On Terry Boy, I want to say.
Yeah. He caught Taka with the Tiger Suplex for the finish.
Right. So
the next match. This is something I just have to read the Wikipedia entry to.
Go ahead.
Because let's keep this quick, and once I say this, we can talk a little bit more about it. But the following match was a singles match for the ECW World Television Championship between champion Shane Douglas, one of Lewis's favorite wrestlers ever, and the challenger Pitbull 2. Douglas was accompanied by his valet Francine and several Wyatt Scott officers. Pitbull 2's tag team partner Pitbull 1, who was shown sitting in the front row for the match because, according to the storyline, doctors had not medically cleared him to be ringside. Pitbull 2 rushed to the ring and immediately began attacking Douglas. Pitbull 2 controlled the early portion of the match after takedowns and headlocks. Then Douglas gained control after he countered a powerbomb with a head scissor takedown. Okay, I don't want to sit here and go through the entire thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Get. You need to get to the end there. So we got a pinfall by Douglas at this point with a belly to belly suplex. This tells you. First of all, let me say something real quick. Bailey uses that as a finish. If Magnum TA can use it, so can anyone else as a finish.
Yeah, that was Douglas's finisher.
So there you go. That was Douglas's finisher. Okay, so.
Now, let's not forget the story behind the match was that it was storyline-wise Shane Douglas that injured Pitbull number 1 to begin with.
Right. There's actually another storyline with this as well.
Well, go ahead, Lou.
He injured his neck with single arm DDT.
Right. Now, was that a kayfabe injury, or did that actually? Because I'm sure the.
It was a injury that they ended up using for storyline purposes.
Oh, okay, but I doubt that he needed his head screwed in place. But
no, well, he actually had a surgical halo on at one time and all that. That was legit.
So they actually put screws in his head.
Yeah, he actually had the whole.
Okay, so he was actually injured. So this was not a kayfabe injury.
No, not at all. Later on, once he got over it, he was fine. But
yeah. Now there was another part of this storyline as well. There was a masked man running around,
causing Mr. Douglas all kinds of problems.
Oh yes, and people rumored that it was Ravishing Rick Rude. Well, as a stipulation, if Shane Douglas won, which, by the way, there was attempted outside interference from Chris Candido.
Yeah, I did hint, but yeah, this was the match Chris Candido came back from.
Candido was a part of
this part right here. As previously stipulated, the masked man, wearing a Ravishing Rick Rude robe, came to the ring to unmask. The man then planted a kiss on Francine and performed Rude's signature gyrations, the hip dance, before Douglas hit him in the back with his championship belt. While getting back to his feet, the masked man revealed himself to be Brian Lee, as one of the Riot Squad officers entered the ring and removed his helmet, revealing himself to be the Ravishing One. A surprise, Douglas attempted to plead with Rude, but it led to no avail, as Rude nailed him with a right hand punch and followed by a choke slam from primetime Brian Lee. Now,
go ahead.
At the time, Brian Lee was a member of the Triple Threat.
In other words, for people who don't realize that, he was hanging out with Shane Douglas, as well as I think Bam Bam Bigelow was the third member.
Oh, at that
No, it was
time,
Chris Candido.
Oh, Chris
It was
Candido was the third member. My bad.
it was Tito, Douglas, and Lee.
Yeah. So if that's one way to leave an organization, I couldn't think of no other.
Yeah, really.
But yeah,
Rude
Douglas, go ahead.
Here's the thing. Here's another interesting thing too. Rude had to stay under the mask and debut the way he did because he was still under a no complete clause from WCW. The day of the pay-per-view just happened to be when the no complete clause ended.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, damn.
Hmm?
Once again, barely made it.
Barely made it is right. Barely cobbled together.
It was either that night or the night before that it was finally where he was able to freaking do it. Even though Rude couldn't wrestle anymore, WCW still held that. They still held the no complete clause.
Well, we'll talk about WCW when the time comes, because that is a story amongst itself.
It is.
Indeed.
And I honestly can't wait to see what we do with that. Like, oh, but if you ever want to talk about something about WCW, I would have to be a recommendation is that if you have the WWE Network, definitely watch the Monday Night Wars, even though it does paint more of the WWE as the winner of everything, because like the old saying goes, the winner writes the history.
Well, they also did win-ish, but, you know.
History's written by the winners, but yeah, that's pretty much right.
Yeah, but if you do, it's actually a really fun show to watch. It has 20 episodes, I think it's what it is. They're about an hour long, so you can watch it whenever you want to, but it's still a fun show to watch. To actually see some of the progression from the shows that I'm only on like episode 3 right now.
Wait till you get the episode where they rip apart Vince Russo.
Oh, I can't wait for that. I really want to see it, but seeing, like, you get to see the slow decline from WCW. It's like, it's there. It doesn't show up immediately, but you see the seeds of doubt show up real quickly in WCW. And I'm like, that's why. So yeah, I definitely can't wait to talk about if we ever get to the fall of WCW. That I really want to put my two cents when we get to that point.
So the next match, after Francine realized that she was being kissed by Brian Lee and kind of didn't want to leave the ring,
until Shane Douglas drug her out.
Until Shane Douglas shoved her out, is the match that I ended up getting halfway through before the show started, which was Taz versus Sabu. And Sabu did not want his music. He just sort of came in.
Yeah, I watching that one, it was just like, these two look like they literally wanted to kill each other.
Now, just as a side note, this is one of the few times you actually heard the actual music that was played, because, well, Heyman and music copyright rights wasn't exactly, well, there.
Well, yeah, this is the early 90s.
A lot of the ECW original soundtrack was quote borrowed from various records and music.
Well, to be fair, that's not a new concept. I mean, if you go way back further in time, most of the music that was used for entrance music was in fact real music. So, for instance, Superfly Jimmy Snuka's, the late Superfly Jimmy Snuka's music was actually music from the movie Superfly.
And, and going back, I was about to say, talking about the latest Hall of Fame inductee, DDP's music, well, original music that everybody remembers him from, is pretty much an instrumental of "Smells Like Teen Spirit."
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't?
No, it wasn't. No, it was an original composition that was made to sound like "Smells Like Teen Spirit." It's not. It's
Yeah, so much so that WWE still refuses to use it for some reason.
Well, I mean, it's
the WWE theme instead.
Yeah,
well, that theme was stupid. Well, I mean, for crying out loud, Lex Luger's theme was an instrumental of it was a Courtney Love song.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Courtney Love, really?
Yeah.
Well, don't Don't forget Raven's badass fucking WCW theme. His theme was cool as shit in WCW.
Yeah, but
But
remember, he also came out to what Even Flow, which was the original name of his freaking DDT.
No, Dreamer came out to Even Flow.
No. Dreamer came out to Man in the Box.
Because WWE still used that. Just used the instrumental version of it.
It's the Man in the Box. Don't tell me, damn it. It's his theme, the Man in the Box, but he originally came out to Even Flow.
So, well,
Dave is probably going to yell at us for getting some of this wrong.
Well,
not douchebag Dave, actual Dave.
Your actual Dave. No, but I was going to say, I'm going to take this on a slight tangent. Does anybody know about the other Superfly?
There's another one?
Yes, there was. There was
Superfly.
Yep. Yeah.
You tell.
The failed Superfly.
The one that didn't, the other white meat.
Yes. But they didn't even bother giving him the same music. He came out to Shaft.
No, but you know something that was sad though? He was actually not that bad of a hand.
He wasn't that bad of a wrestler. No, not at all. But
the top rope looked like shit.
Yeah. Yeah, the problem was they tried to shove him down as the other Superfly, and it didn't work.
I'm now picturing what happened to the... I don't know if any of you guys remember a WCW wrestler called the Renegade, God rest his soul.
No. That's
yeah.
With him. That poor point that they drove. That poor kid, what was his name? Rick Wagner? Poor kid killed himself.
For those of you who don't understand, this was before WCW was trying to sign the Warrior. They made their own Warrior clone called the Renegade, complete with mask. He has singlet when Warriors ring a singlet, shook the ropes, everything. Problem is, well, one, he was a one-for-one Warrior clone, and two, WCW eventually signed the Ultimate Warrior, and pretty much regarded him to jobber status, and seeing his dreams literally implode, well, yeah.
He killed him. Poor kid killed himself.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's kind of depressing.
Well, let's go back on a higher note. Taz versus Sabu. Awesome match.
That was a fun match, and you could definitely tell they wanted to kill each other. Because, damn, Sabu. Sabu is known for one thing, taking the high-risk flying jumps. And he's like, I don't care what happens. I'm going to do this.
What are you about to say, Lou?
No, that match was just freaking... Oh, my God. They did not like each other, and you can tell from watching. There's this one spot where Taz hits him with the Angry Man clothesline. I thought he fucking broke Sabu's neck again.
I thought he broke Sabu's neck when he hit him with that head-on Taz, one of those Taz plexes.
Wait, Taz used to toss these guys in the ring too. Jesus.
Like if you see Suplex, you see Brock Lesnar as Suplex City. This one of the people who helped build Suplex City.
Yeah.
Taz was the governor of Suplex City.
Say again?
Taz was the governor of Suplex City.
So what would be the Steiners? The founders?
No, the Steiners are different. The Steiners, because remember, the Steiners weren't necessarily, yeah, they had the suplexes, but that wasn't their formal offense. Plus, you got to look at what Rick did before the whole Steiner brothers thing.
Yeah.
And Rick was a hell of a talent. Former, I mean, he held the World Television Championship.
His matches with Mike Rotunda during that feud when they kicked him out of the Varsity Club, holy shit.
Yeah. Yes, I've seen pictures of that, Reed. I've seen pictures.
Let's talk about
one looks like Shawn Michaels and one looks like Bret Hart. We're not going to talk about it.
Yes, I know. I just saw it now. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, we'll put down the things to talk about.
I'll just say this: they made a belt.
Hey, so the Young Bucks. See how much credibility that's giving them. Anyway,
This is true, Bing.
Taz manages to defeat and choke out Sabu.
Here's the thing, though.
Say again?
During Taz's entire run, he was this mammoth, unstoppable, holy shit, no one can beat me. The whole time he was doing this, he had Bill Alfonso in his corner. This night right here, Alfonso literally turns on Taz because Taz won.
Because he put his money on Sabu, if I remember.
He put his money on Sabu. So since Taz won, he turns on Taz.
And of course, Sabu wasn't. Well, okay, here's the thing. Taz, after the match, extended his hand saying, hey, you're a tough son of a bitch. Let's let bygones be bygones. And, well, the backstab happened when Van Dam returned. And that's when the double cross happened with Bill Alfonso. And everybody went silent. Anyway.
Well, this is kind of where I stopped because the show had.
I remember I didn't finish watching the show.
No, I was thinking Lou or Reed's going to say something. Anyway. So, we move on to the next main event. We're running out of main events. All 3 men in this match had a beef with Raven. They wanted to kill, well, more so 2 of them. It was originally supposed to be Tommy Dreamer versus the Sandman versus Stevie Richards. Dreamer voluntarily surrendered his spot to Terry Funk so he could make his dream to attempt to become ECW champion. The Sandman and Raven had a long-standing feud that involved Raven trying to get the Sandman's wife and ex-wife and son to essentially leave him. Stevie Richards, who was at this point the leader of the Blue World Order, and came with the Blue Meanie, Hollywood Nova, and Thomas Rodman, and 7-Eleven.
Thomas Inchworth Rodman.
Thomas Inchworth Rodman, my bad. And 7-Eleven, and yes, if you didn't pick up on the joke by now, the BWO was a parody of the NWO.
No.
I'm about to say for the more dense members of our audience.
Although I'm trying to figure out who 7-Eleven is.
That was Rob Feinstein.
Oh, at least it wasn't Buff Bagwell.
That was Feinstein doing X-Pac.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Oh, right. He was 6-Pac at the time.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Or 6. But yeah, Stevie Richards was a slave of Raven, let's put it bluntly like that.
Raven treated him like crap. He beat him up.
That's the best. Yeah. And so Stevie want revenge. And of course, we're going to have an entire show solely dedicated to the Raven Dreamer feud. So we'll save that feud for that. But at this point, Dreamer surrendered his spot to let Terry Funk go on ahead.
His mentor have one final shot at becoming a world champion.
And after a brutal knockdown, drag-out match where all 3 men pretty much wanted to kill each other just so they could get their hands on this one man who's fucked up at least 2 of their lives, Terry Funk came out victorious. Not long to celebrate, because Raven came out immediately to start their championship match.
Yep.
Before we get to that, anyone want to say anything about the triple threat, or should we just go on to the end?
That triple threat had one of the coolest spots ever where Funk put the ladder on his head and did the spinning and took everybody out with it. That was just freaking awesome. And those 3 guys, they beat the holy hell out of each other.
As in, by the time it ended, Funk was the winner, but he looked like he just went through war. And then, without even a second to breathe, he has to face the world champion.
Because you even have Dreamer saying on commentary, and what really pisses me off is that scumbag is going to be able to walk out here and fucking fight these guys after what they've done to each other.
Which is almost what nearly happened. Now, Dreamer swore that he was trying to stay away from the ring. He wanted Funk wanted to do it on his own. But between his love for Terry Funk and his pure hatred for Raven, that just couldn't happen. And Dreamer eventually came in to to pretty much take out Raven, which was what Funk needed to finally get the upper hand and finally defeat Raven, becoming the ECW World Heavyweight Champion.
Yes.
And 2 minutes later, power goes out.
It's like, yay! Shit, what happened? We lost power. How? We blew the fuses.
How many?
And you gotta ask yourself this. How did you lose power on all the fuses after just 4 hours? I say 4 hours.
That building was not up to code.
That building, you do realize the other name for the ECW arena, right?
Well, the bingo hall.
The bingo hall.
Because
it was a bingo hall. It wasn't designed to take that kind of power draw.
Remember when we talked about the XFL and how the power generator pretty much ran out of gas and shut down that poor Los Angeles game? Picture that without the power generator, and picture that kind of power going without the power generator.
Yeah.
It was, to put it like this. Imagine someone lifting up a 500-pound weight. They're able to do it, but they're not going to be doing it for too much longer. Eventually, unless they're Mark Henry.
And I don't know if you guys have I think Will's. I know you've watched it with me, Ty. Beyond the Mat.
I have the DVD.
There's this. Okay. Well, the backstage environment, I'm reading this from the wiki, by the way, because to me this speech is very important, and it gets my blood pumping. It almost brings tears to my eyes every time I see this scene. The backstage environment of this event was captured in the documentary Beyond the Mat, including a pre-show speech to the roster by Paul Heyman. There are 17 million homes that have availability for this show tonight that will pay $20, hopefully, for the privilege to see you guys do what you have done for 3.5 years. Thank Terry Funk for all that he has done for this company, for helping to put us on the map, for being unselfish in selfish times, for taking the young guys and showing them a better way. Tonight we have a chance to say, yeah, you're right. We're too extreme. We're too wild. We're too out of control. We're too full of our own shit. Or we can take a chance and say, hey, fuck you. You're wrong. Fuck you. We're right. Because you have all made it to the dance. Because believe me, this is the dance. That was Heyman's speech he gave to the guys before that show. ECW was the little engine that could.
And it did for almost 10 years.
It did for almost 10 years.
It's been gone for 15 years, and I miss it every freaking day. My first introduction to ECW came from my cousin Pops. One night, he happened to record it. It was highlights from the show. Jesus, it's right on the tip of my head. Something about barbed wire hoodies and choke slams. It was when 911 murdered Jungle Jim Steele. That was the first fucking watch of ECW. 911 was the shit, man. He'd literally just come out, choke slam the fuck out of everybody.
I remember the night before I went to basic training in the Navy, and I was up at my cousin's house, and I'm going through ECW, and that was the night 911 came back. This was like in 1999 sometime. And he just murdered everyone in the ring. It was February 1999, because I remember telling my recruiter, hey, Valentine's Day is coming up. There's this girl I want to go on a date with before I recruit. Don't have me depart before Valentine's Day. Well, guess what my recruiter did?
He probably did you a favor.
Yeah. Lose know who the girl was at the time.
I say he did you a favor.
We'll go into that after the show. But anyway, so that was Barely Legal 97. Ooh, that was ECW, to be honest. We're going to be a lot more talk about ECW when we get to Guilty as Charged 01, the final ECW pay-per-view. But of course, we're going to have some shows in between before then and after, including our Dreamer versus Raven commentary.
By the way, I can't promise this. I've already talked to him about it. Dave is probably going to be on when we do the Raven Dreamer feud.
What, Dave? Our Dave?
He's going to be on when we do the Raven Dreamer feud.
Oh boy.
No, not douchebag Dave. Dave.
No, it doesn't matter. Oh boy.
In all honesty, there was a point in time where I literally own hard copies of every ECW pay-per-view. Pay-per-view versions completely unedited. I have most of the Raven and Dreamer feud on VHS. There was a point in time where every time we'd sit there, every time we'd hang out, get ready to eat, whatever, dude, what do you want to do? Best of Dreamer Volume 1. Bam. That tape would finish, all right, pop in Volume 2.
So we'll put that when Dave's available. We'll schedule when that show's going to come on, when we do that episode. Because that episode, I could just, you, Dave, probably Will, could probably just talk about that. I could just mute my microphone and go have a soda.
I'll probably do the same thing because I have no clue at that point.
Because it was, oh my God, that feud. And it's funny, it's one of the best feuds of wrestling history. And you know, storyline, how it supposedly started? They met in summer camp and didn't get along.
Yep. That was the start. I knew that.
They
That's
met in summer camp and didn't get along. Beulah was some fat girl.
Mm-hmm. Who Dreamer had shunned.
And now they have 2 kids.
Mm-hmm. Now that's his wife. To the point where it's like even Dreamer says on his Facebook from time to time, my kids call Raven Uncle Scott. By the way, you fucking fans, if you ever walk up to Raven and call him Scott, he's gonna smack you.
What would be the same vitriol smack that if you ever walk up to Eastman and Lazard and mention the word Venus de Milo, they just give you the look of death before killing you?
So you can call him Johnny then, is what you're saying.
Oh no, he laughs Johnny off. Be stupid and call him Scott.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no.
I've been there and seen that happen. Someone called, "Hey Scotty, how you doing?" He fucking smacked the shit out of that kid. He's like, "You don't know me, motherfucker. Don't call me by my given name." Raven's a great guy. He smacks people.
Yeah, we could tell. Whew. Well, this was actually I don't remember how fun this show was.
An hour and a half.
No, man, I remember how fun this show was just by going through it all. Hell, we even got most of our match recommendations out the way. I'll cheat and say go back and watch Very Legal from start to finish. I don't think anything we talked about compares to actually watching the show on the WWE Network, even if it's alternate music. I know that's cheating for my match recommendation, but there you go.
And by the way, I do have the original pay-per-view broadcast with the freaking countdown show and everything. Just that's how I watched it.
Meanwhile, we're stuck with the network version.
Well, it is possible to get an unedited version of Barely Legal.
It's in Europe on DVD over there.
Yeah, it's in England, and it is actually widely available. Fairly widely available. The funny thing about it is that it is a region-free DVD, so you can watch it on any DVD player no matter what. So
I have a couple of those discs. Yeah, I have a couple of them in my collection.
Yeah, so those are possible to get. Yeah, so it is possible to get the original unedited versions.
Mm-hmm. Or you can actually still buy them from RF Video. Because they're not supposed to be selling them because WWE owns them now. But if you just call them directly, they'll let you order them.
I would say, yeah, but doesn't that give Rob Feinstein money?
Well, yeah. Feinstein's a whole nother story.
Yeah, that's a serious way to do it another time. God forbid if you're the lead again, you have us watch the history of Rob Feinstein.
Feinstein's gimmick name when he worked with the boys was Fun Athletic Guy. Look at the acronym.
Oh, jeez.
When he got busted for talking to the kid about fucking hooking up with him on the news, the file photo they used of him was of him in the fag gimmick with full glittery butterfly wings and everything.
Oh, jeez.
There you go. Holy fuck.
Oh.
Now we have to look for something to talk about for the next 10 minutes, because we're only at hour 40.
Well, let's end the show early, because what if we don't have much to talk about?
What was it, Lou?
There's a couple of things I do want to go into.
Go ahead. Let me put back.
Yeah.
Let me put.
Go ahead and do.
No, I'm trying to think of something else to put in
Picture
its
thing.
place. Okay, I guess Batista having the flag up La Resistance ass will be the best thing. Go ahead.
Oh, that's nice. No, and I have a couple matches that I just want to throw out there.
All right.
Just because, since we have the time, and I was going through my, how Facebook always gives you that option to look at your past post.
Yeah.
That one came up when they first did the announcements for the network, where I seen a bunch of people listing a bunch of shitty Blandy Borton matches and all this other crap that no one cares about.
Hey, don't make fun of Blandy Borton. The Rand Quill is our sponsor now for this week.
Sucks. Fuck him. And fuck his fans too, by the way.
All right.
But one recommendation that's not on the list, but I'm still going to put it out there. Rest in peace, George Steele. Steele's one of the only guys who competed against Bob Backlund, Bruno Sammartino, and Hulk Hogan for the WWF Championship. That's a nice little piece of trivia for you guys. He actually worked all three of them for the WWF title. I don't think anyone else has done that.
So look up those matches, which hopefully is on the network.
All three are up on YouTube. WWE actually put up all three of them.
Oh, and they did.
Yeah, on their YouTube channel, they actually put up all three of them. And no, but my one George Steele match I was going to tell you guys to check out is his match with Macho Man Savage at WrestleMania 2. It was literally his feud with Macho was drawn out pretty long. They went for about a year and a half. The Steamboat feud was actually a part of that.
That's true. It was a part of that
because Steele came out with Steamboat for their WrestleMania 3 match. Because I remember that feud was over Miss Elizabeth.
Yep.
And as George has said many times later in life in interviews, he was married. It wasn't that he was interested in Elizabeth for sexual things. He was interested because he heard that she did windows. Hey, he said it, not me.
Well,
Rest in peace,
sometimes
George.
sometimes the best ideas are just really simple. You don't need anything, big. Like, for instance, the story of the Grappler and how he loaded up his boot.
Oh, by kicking it down to the mat.
And he'd kick it down and something would happen, and then he'd kick the heel back. Well, the theory is what's the thing that's in there, right? Is the question. And so what ends up happening is some guy comes up to him and says, "Hey, Grappler, you so-and-so motherfucker, whatever. I know exactly how you get that going. I know exactly how you load up that boot. Really? How? Really? How?" He goes, "It's the mercury. It's the mercury in there. You have a thing of mercury in there. So when you load the boot, the mercury flows into the front of the boot, and then you kick the guy to knock him out. And then as the ref's not looking, you pull it back. You pull it back on the heel. And then when the referee checks, there's nothing there. I know. I got you little thing, you bastard." And Lynn looked at him and said, "Hey, that's great. I'm taking that."
There you go.
And now we
So-
solved the mystery of the loaded booth question.
So, well, yeah, but sometimes the best ideas come from other sources, and that one was just that one was part of an interview off of another podcast, but that was fun.
Loaded
But
boots
yeah,
and brass
basically-
knuckles. That will be a time. That has to be a time. That's going to be the title when we talk about popular heels.
That was something that confused me on the Sabu, not the Sabu, the two the Shane Douglas whatever the hell the TV title match. What the hell was he holding?
It looked like a small
No,
pipe.
no, not the chain, the black band thing.
It looked like a small pipe.
Well, it was something that he wrapped. Well, it was something that he wrapped around his knuckles. They said it was brass knuckles, but it looked more like one of those snap bracelets.
It was probably brass knucks covered in electrical tape.
True.
Or you know how they do a thing, take like a roll of electrical tape? Just like, oh, he has it covered in tape, so you can't tell that they're brass knucks, so the ref can't get the gleam off of them. That's the excuse to use for that.
In reality, you just don't want to legitimately kill the dude with knuckle dusters.
Yeah.
But okay, basically, yeah, this popped up on my timeline the other day because there were idiots talking about, oh, you want to watch great Blandy Borton matches? Here's the ones you should watch. Fuck you. Here's the list of matches that I put up. You should watch the second the network went up. I put Kurt Hennig versus Bret Hart, SummerSlam 91, King of the Ring 93, Mr. Perfect versus the Blue Blazer, WrestleMania 5.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Awesome versus Masato Tanaka versus Taz, Anarchy Rules 1999. Taz versus Shane Douglas, Guilty as Charged 1999. This is a heavy ECW list, by the way.
Hey,
Well, it goes
we
along
just,
with-
we
it go-
just
it
talked
goes
about
along with our
ECW's
theme,
pay-per-view,
so-
so go ahead.
That's the main reason why I'm going on about it.
Yeah, let me put
Shane-
the thumbs up while we're at it.
Yeah. Shane Douglas versus Al Snow, WrestlePalooza 98. Fantastic match. The build-up was amazing. The whole thing going into this match, this is where Douglas had the infection in his arm, and they thought he was never going to wrestle again. Just very well done. Jerry Lynn versus Steve Corino, Heatwave 99. Have any of you ever heard about this match?
Nope.
Nope.
Basically, Lynn puts a beating on Corino, splits him wide open. He
Ew.
picks Corino up by his head, holds him up by his hair, takes Corino's blood, and writes "die" on his chest.
I think I remember hearing something about that.
Yeah, it's just one of those moments that's like, holy shit. And on the network, they did not censor it.
What?
What?
They did not censor it.
Really?
It's just color. Shit.
So that's worth the price of admission. ECW Heatwave 99, Jerry Lynn versus Steve Corino.
Okay,
Of
now I
course,
have
you
to
know
go
I
look
had to
at
pop
this.
Of course, you know I had to pop a Hulkster match on here too.
Of course you did.
Oh, jeez.
Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair, Halloween Havoc 1994, the career steel cage match. Harley Race versus Haku, Royal Rumble 1989. Cactus Jack versus Sting, Beach Blast 92. Up until the match with Shawn Michaels and the match with Blandy Orton, Mick considered this his greatest match. Then you had Diesel versus Bret Hart from the Survivor Series 95. That was also a great title match. The final battle between Ricky Steamboat and Ric Flair, Spring Stampede 1994. It's the last time these two guys faced each other. Another personal favorite of mine, this is where the Garden literally turned on and shit all over Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels versus
Psycho
Survivor
Sid.
Series 96.
I remember this because Sid was the villain. He was the
It
heel.
was so over.
And
He
you-
hit a 50-year-old man in the chest with a
freaking camera, and not those lightweight GoPros we have. A big ass high production video camera knocked out Jose Lothario. The crowd cheered as if he just saved the Pope.
They treated Sid as if he was the second coming in the Garden that night. The crowd reaction to that match is what makes it. Speaking of Blandy Boylton, another recommendation I popped on here: Mark Henry versus Blandy Borton from Night of Champions 2011.
Like I was talking about this match earlier, a couple of weeks ago, when Bray Wyatt won the title, that when you're watching this match, Orton versus Henry, you sense the inevitability. Like, you know this is it. Nothing Orton did was affecting Henry, including the attempt at the RKO. Because Henry just tossed him off like garbage and then hit with the world's strongest slam.
Henry was finally booked right during this time. Finally. The Hall of Pain, his entire world title run on SmackDown is a fucking recommendation. Never mind just this match.
Like, and of course, this had to. If he didn't get injured, that would have went into WrestleMania at least.
Definitely. There's a reason they picked that to be a showcase on. I think it was 2K16.
What, Henry versus Orton?
Yeah, that whole Hall of Pain, it was actually one of the showcase modes.
Because
it was either 16 or 15, I'm not sure.
Because that was one of the most dominant during the world title era, the big gold belt era in WWE. That was one of the most dominant heel runs you could have ever gotten. Henry looked like the monster he should have been booked as.
He was untouchable.
Like I said, that match with Orton was just an air of inevitability. Like, you knew this guy was just fucked. There was nothing Orton could do, including his vaunted RKO out of nowhere. Henry saw it and just pushed him off like garbage. Like, no.
And by the way, to my brother Dan Bullock, Brother Bull, you always go on and on about why I hate Orton so much. Here you go, buddy. This one happened in your hometown of Buffalo. You were there live and you had to watch Blandy Borton get beat by Mark Henry. And finally, the last match I had on the list, so it's actually a Red Rooster match, believe it or not.
Oh, jeez.
Yep, Mr. Perfect versus the Red Rooster from SummerSlam 1989.
Oh, well, that explains everything.
To be honest with you, that show was a huge clusterfuck. That's one of the only watchable matches on that show.
SummerSlam 89?
SummerSlam 89, yeah.
No shit. Yeah, no shit. You had the Brainbusters versus the Hart Foundation. That was actually good. In
a rushed 5-minute fucking match.
Yeah.
It should for the belts. They should have given them more time.
Yeah.
Brett and Arn Anderson bitched about that in their books. That match should have been given way more time. It should have been for the titles. What else? The fantastic main event of fucking the Macho King Randy Savage and Zeus versus Hogan and Beefcake.
Go ahead.
That was in the cage too, right?
No, this
wasn't in the cage. The cage was afterwards. Yeah,
the cage one. That was where Zeus cut that wonderful promo of Hulk Hogan, "I'm gonna freaking kill you."
Yeah.
Just for folks, in my rant last week about why Austin isn't shit, but Hogan was. Hogan took a 6'10" actor and made him look believable. Say what you will about the matches being complete garbage. You literally thought Zeus was going to kill Hogan.
And adding to the list, No Holds Barred, the match, the movie and the match. Go ahead.
And that's it for me. I'm done talking. I've been talking.
Well, that pretty much filled up the entire time.
Yes, it does.
So unless anyone else wants to add anything, I'll just Put back the ever lovely picture of Batista and the flag.
You like that picture, don't you?
It's just random as hell. It's a lot more happier than the actual title card of our three fallen hero, the three fallen ones this week.
And now, then we have 2 fallen ones in Batista.
Yeah,
I'm sure John would approve.
Yes. So for Will, for Lou, for Reed, for myself, for John, who's probably still asleep. Thanks for listening, and see you guys next week. Bye-bye.